There are seasons when heaven goes quiet, when doors refuse to open, when prayers seem to dissolve into the ceiling and no voice answers from above. You walk faithfully, yet the curtain never lifts. You serve, but remain unseen. You prepare, but are never called forth. The world claps for others. Spotlights shine elsewhere. You are hidden, tucked away, not because you are unworthy, but precisely because your worth is being protected. The seed is buried before it blooms. It must be placed in darkness, in silence, in soil unseen, if it is ever to grow roots that can bear the weight of fruit. That silence is not abandonment, it is formation. God hides those he intends to reveal, not for their fame, but for his purpose, and purpose always takes longer than performance. We misunderstand the nature of hiding. We assume that hiddenness means rejection or punishment or divine forgetfulness. But in the economy of heaven, hiddenness is often the highest favor. It is the sculptor's cloth over the masterpiece not yet ready for unveiling. It is the mother's womb, life forming in mystery, destined for light, but not yet able to survive it. When God hides you, it is not to diminish you, it is to develop you. The hidden place is where greatness is made sacred before it is made public. Consider David, anointed in private, sent back to the fields with sheep. A king in obscurity, or Joseph, whose dreams landed him not on a throne but in a pit, then in a prison. These men were hidden not because they were disqualified, but because their blessing was too weighty to be rushed. A shallow root cannot hold a great tree. Had God revealed them too soon, they would have broken under the weight of their own destiny. But God hides what he holds dear. You were not forgotten, you were kept. And to be kept by God is a higher honor than to be seen by man. He saw what you could not see. He knew what needed strengthening, healing, or humbling. He knew the trials you could not yet survive, and the praise that would have poisoned your soul if received too early. You asked for elevation, but he gave insulation. You longed for recognition, but he gave refinement. He did not expose you because he loved you too much to lose you, and the blessing, it is not merely what you'll receive, it is what you will become. God is not just preparing things for you, he is preparing you for the things. A blessing too big for you today would crush you, not crown you. So he hid you to grow you into a vessel capable of carrying it with wisdom, humility, and holiness. Hidden seasons are not wasted seasons, they are sacred ground. The roots you grow there are the roots that will sustain you when storms come to the stage of life you've been praying for. And when the day comes, and it will, that God calls you forth, it will not be a stepping into the spotlight, but a stepping into the story for which you were always made. And on that day you will thank him not for the moments he made you visible, but for the mercy of the days he kept you hidden. There is a divine logic to hiddenness that defies human reasoning. When God chooses to hide someone, it is rarely out of punishment or neglect. It is often the sacred workshop where destiny is shaped in silence. Just as a master artisan does not unveil a masterpiece until it is complete, God shields those he is still forming. We often mistake invisibility for insignificance, but nothing could be further from the truth. The very fact that you are hidden may be the greatest proof that you are being handled by divine hands. God does not rush the creation of something that will carry eternal weight. The longer the hidden season, the more precise the craftsmanship. It is in these quiet spaces that character is carved, motives are purified, and faith is tested without applause. God sees the future you before the world ever meets the present you. He knows the magnitude of what you are called to carry, and so he fashions you accordingly. He hides you because he knows that exposure without preparation would harm you more than help you. Being seen too soon can be a curse in disguise. Pride would swell, weaknesses would be exposed without support, the weight of calling would collapse on shoulders untrained by the wilderness, so he chooses to shape you where no one is watching, where the lessons are deep and the tests are frequent. Hiddenness is not a punishment, it is a privilege granted to those whose calling requires deeper preparation. The prophets were often hidden before they were heard. The Savior of the world lived in obscurity for 30 years before stepping into 3 years of ministry. Why would we expect anything different? The spiritual giants of the Bible were not forged in the spotlight. They were formed in caves, deserts, prisons, and pastures. places where no eyes were watching, where no validation came, and where only the voice of God remained. And in those places, they learned to depend on Him completely. They learned to obey without the reward of recognition. They became trustworthy not because they were seen, but because they were tested when no one was looking. There is something sacred about the hidden place. It becomes a sanctuary where your identity is not wrapped in public approval. You learn to hear God's whisper over the noise of the crowd. You learn to find joy in obedience rather than outcomes. You discover the beauty of growth without display. In a culture that pushes for immediate exposure, God's process remains timeless. He hides those He is still shaping. Like a seed beneath the soil, you are not buried to die. You are buried to grow. Your roots are stretching, anchoring you in truth and humility. This is the slow, steady work that no eye sees but every future demands. The hidden place is the holy place, where God does not simply prepare things for you. He prepares you for the things. A blessing too big for your current capacity must wait until your character can carry it. The weight of what God has prepared for you is not just measured by its glory, but by the maturity required to sustain it. To receive too much too soon is to risk being crushed under the very thing meant to elevate you. God, in His wisdom, withholds certain things not out of cruelty, but out of mercy. He sees the strength of your foundation long before the walls are raised. If He blesses prematurely, the structure may collapse. A house built quickly on weak ground cannot stand against the wind, but one laid slowly, brick by brick, can endure. God's delays are often divine safeguards to ensure you do not receive more than you are equipped to handle. Capacity is not about talent alone, it is about depth, humility, and spiritual strength. The ability to manage success, wealth, favor, or influence requires more than gifting. It requires integrity, self-control, and wisdom that can only be forged over time. Just as a vessel must be fired in the kiln before it can hold water, you must be tested in the furnace of patience and perseverance before you are ready to carry what God has in store. To ask for a blessing without preparation is to ask for a crown with no understanding of its weight. God knows what you can carry today and what will require further shaping before it can rest in your hands. Every delay, every hidden moment, every closed door is a part of that divine calibration. You are not being denied. You are being refined. If the blessing is delayed, it is not because it has diminished, but because its impact will be far greater when met with the right version of you. The promise has not changed. It is your capacity that is being stretched to fit its fullness. Just as wine is stored in wineskins that must be new and strong, your character must be renewed and strengthened to hold what is coming. Old habits, unchecked emotions, fragile egos, these things cannot hold the new wine. God is not simply preparing the blessing, He is building the version of you that can steward it well. Some doors remain closed because the room behind them is too heavy for the current you. That is not an insult, it is an invitation. An invitation to grow, to learn, to be shaped in quiet trust rather than loud striving. The waiting room is not empty, it is a classroom. The moments that stretch you are the very moments that expand your capacity. The deeper your roots, the higher you can grow. If God has kept the blessing from your hands, it is because He intends to enlarge your hands first. He is not just writing your story, He is building your strength. And when the blessing comes, you will not only rejoice in its beauty, but you will stand firmly under its weight, knowing it came not when you asked for it. But when you were ready for it, hidden seasons are sacred ground where roots grow deeper than the eye can see. When nothing seems to be happening on the surface, everything essential is happening beneath it. This is the paradox of God's preparation. What feels like stillness is often the season of the most significant growth. Just like a tree's roots push deeper into the earth during the dormant winter months, so does the soul stretch further into the heart of God during times of divine hiding. These are not the seasons for applause or promotion, but for anchoring, refining, and grounding. The unseen work is the most important work because it supports everything that will eventually become visible. In hiddenness, God is not withholding his hand, he is working in ways that are too deep to be displayed. It is where your dependence on him is sharpened, your trust is tested, and your faith is matured. The roots are what keep you standing when storms arrive. Without them, any amount of external growth will topple under pressure. But the deeper the root system, the stronger the life above it can be. The sacred ground of hiddenness teaches you to live without validation, to listen for God's voice without needing man's applause, and to walk in obedience even when no one else is watching. This soil may feel lonely, but it is not empty, it is holy. In these seasons, God strips away the superficial. He peels back the layers of performance and reveals the places still in need of healing. It is in these quiet fields that idols are broken, that ambitions are purified, that motivations are recentered. The silence is not meaningless, it is purposeful. It reveals where your hope truly rests. Is it in the platform or the presence, in the outcome or the obedience? When no one sees your work, when there is no praise, when the waiting feels endless, that is when your heart's true foundation is exposed. And that is the ground where God begins to do his most lasting work. There is a temptation to despise these hidden seasons, to try to rush through them or escape them altogether. But to do so is to forfeit what they are designed to build. Rushing a root will never make the tree grow faster. It will only weaken what could have been strong. Every moment in the sacred ground is an invitation to grow in patience, in wisdom, in endurance. It is in this deep soil where your identity is no longer based on doing, but on being rooted in Christ, being still before God, being faithful without visibility. These are the traits that will sustain you when the world finally takes notice. What is grown in the hidden place cannot be taken by public storms. You are not forgotten when you are hidden. You are being formed, and what is being formed in silence will one day speak louder than anything you could have said on your own. The sacred ground is where the roots wrap tightly around truth, where convictions take shape, where integrity is born.